Hi, it's Erin with Snowberry Design Co. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be painting this dark, moody floral bouquet. I'm starting with my blue delphinium. I started with the bottom petals off to the left center of my page. Since these flowers are going on a long stem, I just overlapped the petals just slightly to show that they're stacked on the stem. I also didn't refill my brush with more paint, but instead I'm dipping my brush into the water in between flowers. I did this because I wanted the color to gradually get lighter as I went up the stem. Next, I'm painting this hibiscus. Since I'm painting a bouquet, I kept the flowers really close to each other. They're nearly touching. I left the smallest amount of white space between them so that the flowers wouldn't bleed into each other. Next, I'm painting the base of my first rose. I'm just skipping the parts that would go right behind these other flowers so that they won't bleed into each other. To get the dark center, I'm just tapping some dark paint into the center of my rose while it's still wet and letting the color blend out on its own. Now I'm adding in some bright berries. I want to tie in the deep purple pink I have going on in the rose, but I want it to be different enough that it helps support the rose without taking away from it. Now I'm adding in a second delphinium the same way I did with the first, but this one is just curving around the other side. Next, I'm adding in this snapdragon, and the very first stroke I put down was way too orange for what I wanted, so I quickly just rinsed my brush, dried it off with a paper towel, and picked up the paint with my paintbrush. The wet paint will just soak right back up into the brush, and this is a great way to fix any mistakes. I just went right over the top of it with the pink color. I kept some of the orange showing just to give that little surprise. No flowers in nature are perfectly one color, so I like the little accidental touch of orange. Next, I'm adding in another purple rose to tie in with this other one, and some small flowers to mimic the color of the berries and the shape of the delphinium. Now I'm adding in stems with this green color. I'm bringing all the stems back toward the center of my bouquet so they all feel like they're meeting up in generally the same place. I wanted this to feel a little bit more moody, so I've added a dark brown to my green to make these leaves really dark. I'm adding in my leaves in smaller groups so I can see where the gaps are that I need to fill in with my bouquet. I also needed to give some visual weight to this whole piece, so I added these really large leaves. And I added just a bit of pink to the edges to help tie them into the rest of the bouquet. I'm going back in with the same purple color I used earlier to darken the center of my roses, and then just going back over the centers to make them even darker. I'm also adding a bit of shadow to the sides and the bottom of my hibiscus, as well as the center. Now I've switched to my size 0 round brush and I'm adding in some details to my leaves. They weren't 100% dry yet, which is why the line feathered. So I'm just going to wait a minute before adding the details just to give these another minute to dry. If you liked this video, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, consider subscribing to my channel. I post new watercolor flower tutorials every week. If you found this helpful at all, I would be so thankful if you shared this video with a friend. Thanks again so much for watching. Bye!